and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Whoop.
So, what? Oh, we were just talking about dinner because
Yeah,
I'm
the
hungry.
weather's
I didn't eat lunch.
I didn't either. I had I got up and I had breakfast and it was so good, and then I immediately regretted it, quickly, and it was a bummer, but it was still really good. And I have to it was beef barley stew, and I had it for breakfast, but who cares?
I had a piece of toast and a string cheese.
It's not bad. It's a grain and a dairy.
And it's like almost 3:00. I'm like, I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, my doctor was like, make sure you eat when I take Wellbutrin, and you know that, but
yeah,
he was like, make sure you eat when you take it because it's been making me like all cracked out. It's pretty new. It's barely been over a month. And he was like, yeah, that's pretty normal. So now I was like, it's not healthy, kids, I know, but I just don't eat breakfast. It feels terrible to get up and then immediately make my guts start working. But we had stomach issues.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much like my body's tired. I can't immediately get up and put food in it. Look what I did. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, I'll just take it on an empty stomach thing because I feel so sick.
Yeah. I usually don't eat until like 11 or so. I have like a cup of coffee when I wake up, and the caffeine, I think, just makes me not hungry. But then
it's an appetite suppressant.
We were talking about that the other day, where I'm like, lately my go-to is not breakfast food. I just heat up leftovers.
That's literally what I did. And I'm like, it's funny because you realize that hilariously enough, the United States is like one of the only places that like heavily relies on foods that are like, these are only for breakfast. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Cereal. And like even Pop-Tarts garbage is fortified, So it's like the things they push on us. It's like, no, you can't eat that chocolate cake for breakfast, but here's these pancakes covered in butter and whipped cream and
that's like
sugar.
Those ladies that I watch on YouTube, and like I know a couple of them are in Korea. And
eggs and kimchi.
Yeah, and they'll have like hot foods, like what you would have for lunch or dinner as breakfast. I'm like, that's how it probably should be. Get your vegetables and your
not wake up with pure sugar, like that kind of crap. But and even so, like what I ate was grains, vegetables, and a protein.
Yeah,
and that's probably why my body's like, why you do this to me?
I've only had cheese and bread.
Oh,
yeah. So
what are you having for dinner today?
I'm doing that pork katsu with the Brussels sprouts and potatoes.
Yummy.
Sorry if this is making anyone hungry. We had bought.
I plan our meals by the weather.
Yeah, me too. It's like yesterday we did spaghetti because it was all rainy, but no, I had bought a big giant pork. It's not a tenderloin; it's like a pork loin, and Jack cut them up into pork chops because it was way cheaper than buying pre-cut pork chops. And so we have a good knife, and
crazy?
So it's just, and so he divvied it up, and I think it made like 3 bags worth. So there's like 8 pork chops in each bag because there's 6 of us, and
nice.
So you need 2 extra because someone always wants
leftovers. A sandwich the next day.
So we're doing that, and then I don't know what we're doing for dinner tomorrow because tomorrow is Jack's birthday. And
that's right.
Yeah, and I think he's going out with the guys. So, like, for dinner, I don't know, or drinks.
I thought he was going out Saturday.
No, he was going out Friday night with with the guys.
I don't remember. That was right, because he got an accidental day off.
Yeah. He accidentally got the day off because miscommunication. And his supervisor
darn, twist my arm and stay home
and
on
his
my birthday.
Supervisor was like, I didn't schedule you for Friday. And he was like, huh? Like, I said Saturday.
It's going to rain anyway tomorrow, too.
I think it's supposed to rain Saturday.
It's pretty much, it was like yesterday, not today, Friday, Saturday, not Sunday. But it's whatever.
It's rainy weather, and I love it. And
I do, too.
It's like soup
season.
Time. Yeah, I might make some bean soup, some Italian bean soup. But, I know Jack wanted me to tempura fry some shrimp so he could do shrimp tacos because I am actually pretty good at tempura frying stuff. There's 6 of us in our family, and so it's really expensive to go out to sushi, and so I just learned how to make sushi rice, and I buy the nori and the cucumbers and the avocado and all of the stuff you want to put in, and my kids like shrimp, and so I bought a ton of tempura batter. And
it was like a case, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was like, whoa, I didn't know it was this much.
Yeah.
It was like 16 boxes or something like that. But we go through one box because one box will do 2 pounds of food. So usually it's like a pound of shrimp and a pound of like sweet potatoes. And so we usually go through the whole box. But yeah, so it's a kind of a process. It's so messy too, because it's so drippy and liquidy and and frying and but it's so good.
Yeah,
so good. I mean, we haven't made sushi in a little while, but that was like our thing, more so in the summer, because then I would have you come over. I'm like, you want some sushi? And we'd share sushi
before we record.
Yeah. And so we'd eat our sushi lunch, leftover sushi, and then we would record. I gotta do that again.
And now it's tamale season.
I know.
I was just telling Lenore that, and she was all, "Please, I want to eat tamales every day." And I was like, "I know, me too."
I still have some in my freezer, but I think they're all the dessert ones.
I think mine are too. We probably shouldn't do those. We should put our effort into the meat
just
ones.
the meat ones. That's what everybody wants. We do. One is pork and then the other is beef.
Yeah. You know what though? I wanted more filling, but I did love the green chili and cheese ones, like just as a snack. Yeah. So like I wouldn't mind, but I know you didn't like them. Do you remember if your kids liked them?
Or I don't remember. Jack likes them.
I don't think Lenore did, yeah, but I liked them.
Yeah, I got one on accident and I was like, I didn't want this one.
I think they just need like way more. Like they need more cheese and more chili.
Ugh.
To make
Not
it,
my thing.
To make it full.
Yeah, but we make our own. We go to the store and buy the pre-made masa. I have that bag of, the you just add in the lard and all that.
Yeah.
And we could make our own, but it's so inexpensive to just get that big giant bag of masa.
Yeah. Especially if they fuck up.
I know. Oh my gosh, remember that
snort? Sorry.
So last year
Excited.
it was so different because like we spread it out over 2 days, right? Yeah. We did the meat one day and then we did all the sweet stuff the next day.
Really?
We did. Yeah.
Cool.
Because it was too much to do in one day.
Yeah.
And so I have a huge dining room table that seats like 10 people. And so we just set up across from each other and we just turn on TV and we had the lineup in the center. And yeah, so I had ordered.
I got excited.
Because you got like the corn husks and the one of the meats, I think. And then I got the pork.
Oh god.
Remember, it was the whole giant
thigh
pig
Cankle.
leg. It was a whole pig leg.
Yeah.
A whole pig leg.
Yeah, like what would
like
be
a real
turned
pig
into
leg.
a ham.
Yeah.
Did it have the hairy skin still on it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember.
And
yeah, our local market is amazing. I love it because it's like an OG
but I was
Mexican
like, that's not
grocery
what I
store.
ordered.
No, it was crazy, but it worked out okay for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of pork and a lot of masa, and we still had to get more, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
It was like
that's why we did it in 2 days because we had to order more.
Wasn't it like a 25 pound?
It was,
and
I
then
think
like
we
a
went
30
through, like,
pound. It was like 60 pounds.
It's a lot
hustled.
of masa. Yeah,
it was worth it.
And we had two.
What else are we doing?
We had 2 pots going on the stove. We had my big giant canning pot and then your big steamer pot,
which isn't even that big. And Kurt and I are thinking about getting another one because we love doing. We do low country boils for a lot of like holidays or New Year's because it's relatively cheap. You get like little tiny potatoes. If you like mushrooms, you can use it whole. And then the people that don't like them, just don't pick those out. It doesn't add a flavor. You can't tell.
Yeah.
Red potatoes work the best. Little baby red ones. The yellow ones are good too, but they like mush apart.
Yeah.
You literally take a onion, quarter it, toss the whole thing in.
Yeah.
Like
we
20
did that
lemons.
last year for New Year's, didn't we? Yeah.
Tons of kielbasa sausage, hot links. You literally throw everything in.
Yeah.
It's all time management. But if you do it right, the thing that takes the longest is getting it to come up to temperature. But Kurt wants to get the full like riser with the propane for like we don't want to deep fry chickens. It's turkeys. That's scary. But it's the same setup to do like a big boil because that's what takes the longest is getting the water to come to a freaking boil. And the best part is you stop the cooking process by either throwing in your frozen shrimp or your frozen corn. It cools it all down, then you let it soak and it absorbs all the spicy flavor and you can make it as hot as you want or not, and it's just gorgeous. And you just have butter and you're done, and it's amazing.
We should do that again this year.
I think we will. We probably will. We always do. And it's fun because everybody can be like, I got this and I got this part and I got this part, and you can make it so cheap and feed so many people.
Yeah.
The best part is if you like lay out the like if it was your table, we laid out like a bunch of parchment sheets and then newspaper and then just dump the whole thing out, and then all the cats hop on the table.
Yeah.
But seriously, we're coming up on it, and that's what Lenore just was talking about the tamales yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we can do a smaller batch. I know we always say that, and it never is. It's like, okay,
let's just not do the dessert ones, because that was a lot.
It was a lot, and then they don't really get
I don't
eaten.
even think. No, we did that one year with the chocolate cherry,
Yeah.
and we did caramel apple again. But it's like, it's
and
fine.
It's because it's sweet, and so it's a treat, but you don't think of it when you're like, oh, I want something sweet. And then, like, in my
because the
house,
masa isn't. It's barely. You add a little bit of powdered sugar to it, but
Yeah.
it's not really sweetened.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll do tamales, but on a smaller scale. Maybe just do
I think we should still totally do the ones where we added the red sauce to the masa. So we had red and red.
Yeah.
So we did like red and pork, red and beef, and then the plain masa and beef, and the plain masa and pork.
Yeah. Oh.
We don't even eat pork, but I will risk it. It's so good. I'll deal with it.
We do. We're literally having pork tonight.
It just kills us. It hurts our stomachs so bad. It's like impossible.
Yeah. So
10 minutes of food.
I know.
But it's almost Christmas. It's almost Thanksgiving for us here when we're recording.
Yes.
It's next week. And then when this is releasing, it's like almost Christmas. And then it's almost New Year's. And
it's 2 weeks before Christmas.
Seriously. And if we don't start like planning and buying this food ahead of time, like...
Well, thankfully we already have our turkeys, but next is like I got to get the ham, the Christmas ham, because we always do turkey on Thanksgiving, and then Christmas Day we do ham. But yeah, Troy doesn't really like ham, so we might do turkey again. I don't know.
One little.
But I really like ham.
Yeah, I pretty much the only time I will eat ham, not even like lunch meat. I will eat. No, you know what? I take it back. The singular times I will eat ham is on the occasions that we get Jersey Mike's.
Oh yeah,
Jersey Mike's subs. They're amazing. They're expensive.
Yeah, that's
because they like they seriously cut like the meat and they cut the cheese in front of you, and they're delicious, but they're really expensive, so we don't get them a lot. But the one I like to get has ham on it. But anyway, Easter, Christmas, that's pretty much about it. And I'll get like one good slice, and I'm good.
What we'll do instead of like Jersey Mike's or Subway or Quiznos or whatever, is we'll buy the French loaf bread.
Heck yeah.
And then we just make it a huge. You can buy them like that at Staters, and so we just make a huge sandwich and then just cut it up, and here you go.
Perfect.
And
exactly,
because there's 6 of us.
And seriously, the only thing that Jersey Mike's does that's like anything different is, unlike Subway, they do the oil and red wine vinegar, but Jersey Mike's has like a shaker, like a spice shaker, and it's full of Italian herbs. It's good.
You can buy like the sub sauce, the deli sub sauce.
Yes, and we've used
dressing
it before.
stuff. Yeah, my mom bought it one
time.
time. I think like Lily was a baby, and she came over and she was like, "I just got stuff to make sandwiches." I'm like, "Yes,
I love sandwiches." It's hilarious too, because Lenore, like, that's her comfort food. Her mom, like, "Mom, I don't feel good," is a turkey sandwich.
Yeah,
she could eat one every single day. That's like
I probably
her thing.
can too.
I could. It's just so easy, and like, I could eat this.
I know. And I made I had an abundance of eggs because I have a lot of chickens that are laying, and so I had to hard boil a bunch. And so I did one container that's just regular hard boiled eggs to, like, eat with your breakfast or as a snack. Then I did egg salad. So I had an egg salad sandwich like yesterday, but then today I went to go have one, but I don't have the white bread, and it's not the same on like the honey wheat bread.
It's not.
And so that's why I didn't eat, because I was like, I don't have white bread. And then I did another container of deviled eggs, but all the filling stuff is in a baggie, so I can like, make them as I want them.
So they don't dry out. Like,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
today is grilled cheese sandwich and tomato basil soup night. But I have an entire loaf of Wonder Bread that I haven't used yet. So when I'm done, you can have it, because we eat like sourdough the rest of the time.
Yeah,
I literally bought it just for the grilled cheese.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay, let's get to business.
Okay.
So you're first.
Yeah. So speaking of eggs,
what?
The most fragile of things. A box without hinges, key or lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid.
Is it a Fabergé egg?
The answer is just eggs.
Eggs.
In general. So that is for like the mega nerds, that riddle. I don't actually know if J.R.R. Tolkien wrote that riddle, but it's in The Hobbit.
Okay.
And so it's just egg crafts in general. Because it's funny because it's something that it is an ancient practice.
I only know a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
not even a couple, maybe just one.
I have a few little differences. It's not a super long thing, but I picked up some fun little things. And so decorating eggs is, funnily enough, one of the oldest traditional arts. As people, we have done it pretty much throughout history. And the earliest findings was an archaeological team led by Pierre-Jean Texier. And I think it's so funny because this is so recent, in 2010, not that long ago.
Yeah.
This amazing trove of decorated fragments of ostrich egg shells were found in Africa in the Howison Poort shelter. That's the name of this area. And all of these patterns could be actually lined up to match. So he was able to find these fragments and line them up, and they were all very similar. Just kind of hilarious, as the episode you did last time is glass etching. It's just the very fine beginnings of the eggshell is etched through into just lines, dots, V's. It's patterns. They weren't actually sure 100% why they were decorated in this way, but what they think it was like certain owners, certain families had a certain etched pattern. And so these giant ostrich eggs, in case anybody doesn't know, an ostrich egg I think weighs like 4 pounds, and one of them is the equivalent to like a dozen large chicken eggs, and the shells are really, really hard to break through. So currently in the
I just thought about something. What would be really pretty to carve into is an emu egg.
Oh my gosh, all teal.
Yes.
They're like that teal blue. You probably totally for sure. You totally could for sure. So when all of the pieces were collected, Pierre-Jean pretty much figured that there had to have been at least 25 of full ostrich eggs in total throughout these fragments.
Wow.
And they were dated to be about 65,000 to 55,000 years old. And they were actually most likely used to hold water, which is actually still a way that they use it in the Kalahari Desert now.
Oh,
they
really?
take these giant eggs because they're so durable, and
So
they'll
it's like a
fill
bowl.
them. The term that I'll use a couple times is when you blow out an egg, is you poke a hole in the top, poke a hole in the bottom, and you blow out all the liquid. And I mean, if you want your spit germs in it, you could still use it.
Yeah.
And so then they would probably plug up the bottom with wax or clay or anything. And they would use a cork or just like a mushed up piece of leather and jam it down into the hole, and there you got a little water vessel.
Yeah.
So they're pretty sure that that was what this was used for, because there weren't enough other items in this cave to signify that it was like for ritualistic purposes or religious things. And some of these eggs, which is really fun because this goes back to like my pigments segments, which some of these eggs were found to be rubbed with different kinds of pigments to highlight the white underneath, because an ostrich egg is a creamish, off-white, ecru, beige-ish, it's not super brightly colored. It's all a shade of white.
Yeah.
And over time, a lot of really amazing things happen to these different fragments of eggshells that are found, which was like the pigments oxidized. So they had, reds and ochres, and what is one of the things that's really special about them is that because they could be etched in such a way and they're a natural material, every single one is going to end up turning into these crazy varying shades that couldn't be replicated in current times, because also erosion and all these things are going to sweep certain minerals and calciums and all that thing and all of those similar things away. And I'm like, nature's so magical.
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy to a 65,000-year-old egg.
That's what I was like.
I'm
what?
like, damn, that's a dinosaur.
How is it
bird.
even like
full?
Yeah.
It's so hard because there's so many pictures in these that are beautiful.
Because I'm just thinking, like, we put eggshells in our compost and they break down.
Yeah.
How are these still like?
I think because probably the cave situation is dark,
true.
ideal, humid enough to keep it from becoming too dried out. I'm guessing that's probably how. But I've also seen people try to hammer open an ostrich egg, and it takes like a couple blows of a hammer
true.
too. So maybe that's why. But under ideal situations, I think that's why this is so recent. I mean, 13 years ago may not seem recent, but that's recent within science and history. So yeah, 65,000 years old. 13 years is like a drop. So, so from ancient times to now, eggs have always been used for altars, for religious ceremonies and celebrations, and nearly every society has an egg for something special because it brings life. Life pops out of a rock, you know, and it's pretty magical. So I've got a few little countries here. Like we've said before, I can't do every single one.
Yeah.
But our sources will have one of them will have a list of 20 separate countries. And, you know, we will always encourage you to look at them because it's fun. And because I could, but I'm not going to upload 20 pictures to Instagram. It's a lot.
Exactly.
So one of the coolest, all of these are beautiful in their own way, but a super cool Easter egg in a Ukrainian style is so amazing and beautiful, and they use a stylus or a it's like a piping bag basically for wax, and they would use the stylus to dip and cover up spots of the egg, and then they would dip that down into the dye, lift it up, scrape it off, do it again. And they would layer up multiple colors over and over and over. And these designs are so beautiful. And some of them were actually predate Christianity from the Zoroastrian people, which a lot of them don't. It's such a small demographic of these people that originate. I believe it's Eurasia, Persia. And I'm almost positive Freddie Mercury was a Zoroastrian. It's a very specific religion, but also a sect of people.
Okay.
Oops, sorry about my mic.
I know my mic is being really weird. It almost fell on me.
Oh no. And in Belgium, in the same way, they use, again, we've talked about this before, and it's something we mentioned we would want to do. And I even thought about waiting until Easter for this episode, but it just hit me, and I was like, no, I want to do it. So we'll maybe try some of these, and we'll do these for Easter. So in Belgium, they use onion skins, and depending on how long they boil the different onion skins, they can get every shade of red, yellow, orange to pink and purple and blue. If they use purple onions, I'm not sure if they have them there, but onion skins can every color of the rainbow. And so they would paste on foliage leaves over it, and then they dunk it in, and they will remove it, let it dry, and then they peel it off. And this is super common, and this is the tradition. This
is almost like glass etching, where it's you put something on where you don't want the color to be, or you don't want.
They call it resist.
Yeah, and then so
even when we were kids, we would do it. We would take a white crayon on a piece of paper, and you would color it, and it was magic. And then you'd have someone watercolor over it, and it was the picture. We need to do that for Christmas. I just thought of that for the kids. That'd be super cute. So in France, they are very, very French and romantic, and their Easter eggs tend to be dyed more naturally as well, but they also like to write beautiful scriptures around the eggs in decorative handwriting, so they're still very pretty and delicate, even though eggs always are anyway. In Greece and Italy, eggs are dyed super, super dark, but still bright, very vibrant red, symbolizing the blood of Christ. And I didn't want to butcher this word, but there's a type of sweet yeasted bread in Greece, and they braid it into a large loaf.
Oh, I know
and
what you're talking
in
about.
Between the braids are little red eggs. And I do believe the eggs signify the 3 days before Christ came out, and for Easter. I believe that's what it is.
Man, I keep hitting my mic
I do too. Mexico has something that they called cascarones. And those are blown out, emptied eggs that are filled with confetti. And so they'll like do the same thing, just a piece of tape. Back in the day, it would have been a resin or glue or whatever. And
confetti, the other craft sprinkles.
Seriously, yeah. I end up with it all over my house because I always end up with those balloons that have confetti in them, and I love them, but one of them always pops.
Yeah.
And both of us had one pop right in our face.
Yep.
And I'm still finding confetti on the floor. It's all staticky.
Yeah.
So, they believe that the cascarones are good luck if you crack. I don't know if they mean like literally bash them on the head with it, or you just crack it over their head and let the confetti fall.
Oh.
But occasionally, I mean, they must have been some big eggs. I'm not sure, but they said sometimes they're like a tiny mini piñata and they have like a little tiny candy or something. I'm thinking they probably put like a little note or something. It's like, how would you do it? Crack the whole bottom off and tape it back on?
Yeah. Glue it.
Yeah. So in China, the color red symbolizes luck and all things prosperous. And so their eggs are also dyed beautiful shades of red. In Japan, they do a little bit of a more intricate craft that has been done since the ancient times when we originally started talking about paper. It all comes back. So they like to decorate to current times now. And if you go online and you look it up, there will be really beautiful watercolored eggs, but washi tape eggs. So they would take this paper, and it was pretty fibrous, but they would dampen it and wet it, and it was almost like a temporary tattoo. And they would wrap it around and fix it, and they could peel it off and the design would be left, or they would like decoupage the egg with the washi tape, and so it would be a varnished egg that was up all the time. And so they would symbolize beautiful things for Easter, pastels, and so just like little cutie pictures. And so this comes to what you had first mentioned. Like I did with my miniatures, I gave everybody an example of a famous person, and I'm going to talk about Gustave Fabergé.
Oh, okay.
So Gustave Fabergé made the House of Fabergé in 1842 in St. Petersburg, Russia, and they were just a jewelry maker. They weren't famous. They were just popular for the wealthy, but they weren't super well known. And then when Gustave Fabergé passed away, his son, Peter Carl Fabergé, had been requested by Alexander III, his brother, to make the Tsarina, which was the emperor's wife, to make her a decorative egg, because her husband, Alexander III, the emperor, would gift her for Easter, I'm guessing probably an ostrich egg or a chicken egg or something, but highly decorated, gilded and bejeweled and stuff. And he's like, let's step this up and make something more amazing. Because, the emperor's running the world, so someone else is getting the presents made for the wife.
Yeah.
So Peter made this amazing egg. And again, like, I can't name all of them. There are so many. You have to just go look. They're gorgeous. But there was a requirement, because the Tsarina loved them so much. She was like, hey, guess what? You now work for us. And so he became just a special goldsmith specifically to the imperial crown. So that would be the court. And one of his requests was that just keep making these eggs. Yeah. But each of them had to be different. Yeah. Every single one had to be different. It had to be unique. And it had to contain a surprise. So there had to be a hidden element to them. Because at the time, there was an egg that was made. I'm so sorry, I fudged that. I was literally finishing this before we recorded. So it was not 100% a wholly original idea. There had been an egg before, but I do believe it was not an enameled, metalled, bejeweled egg. I think it was an original. And when they would open it up, had like a tiny 24 karat gilded crown with like a chicken. It was really fancy. Yeah. And so they needed something better than that. So he ended up making 50. They commissioned 50 of these imperial eggs, as they're called, and they were given to the Tsarina and other people in the court for all kinds of things, a baby, a holiday, but they had to be kept within the court. It was like a bragging thing, because at the again, I couldn't do the conversion for this. It's too hard. But one of the costs of the eggs when he started this, when Gustav started in 1842, so when Peter started making the eggs, it was at the mid to end of it. 18th century. Yeah. And so I couldn't figure out the conversion of ruples, but it was like in the 4,000s. So I'm like, these are expensive.
Yeah.
From what conversions we know through like pounds and even American money, pretty much everything seems to be about like quadruple. But I know that ruples were a lot less than. So yeah, there's no way I can figure it out, but it was a lot. And it may have even been in the 44,000.
Wow.
Which sounds like it probably would make more make more sense.
Yeah.
But we're talking this entire metal egg is the size of an ostrich egg. It's a full size of a hand, and it's covered in diamonds and rubies and emeralds and solid gold. We're not fudging around with paper mache here.
Yeah.
So, in the end, there were thought to be approximately 69 total eggs made for the crown, and only 57 of them have survived today, and they are all in museums.
Oh, wow.
So, with one of the articles that I have is a list with like a little table, who it was gifted to, where it's at now,
oh, really?
what year it was
that's
made.
Cool.
Yeah, and the picture of each of them. One of them is, and so all of them, the thing that I love is it's like you look at these art pieces and to know that they're like an idea from the 1800s essentially. You know, they're just so beautiful, and you got to understand not everything was like an egg. So it was a concept of an egg. So one of them was this like gilded carriage in the shape of an egg that's being pulled by a cherub, and they're all gold, and there's something inside. And so like cool. It's not all just an egg.
Yeah.
And so they're really, one of them I think is like a pillow shape, and
that's cool.
They're so cool. They're really cool.
And
then now the company still exists, and they make like baby versions of those things, which is more like enamel, Swarovski crystals, 14 karat gold plated. It's not that they're not fancy and still expensive and limited edition. The company still exists, but not like that. Honestly, I meant to check if they're even a thing that is continued to be made by the House of Fabergé.
That is so cool, though.
I know. I want a music box egg.
Yeah, so Fabergé egg, I have a question for you. So it always says like there's like a Fabergé egg, you got to treat it like a Fabergé egg, like it's so delicate. Are they really that delicate, or is it just like
I don't think
because
so. I mean, they're solid.
You said like solid gold and
which would be fragile,
stuff.
But the way that they're like gilded in place, think of like a ring setting.
Yeah, I always thought a Fabergé egg is like it's all glass and breakable and like it's not, or super delicate. But
it's the price, not it's like if you drop it, you're gonna lose a diamond. Not like a Swarovski crystal's gonna pop off.
True. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Fabergé.com. Welcome to the world of Fabergé. Festive favorites. So it's like, there's a teeny tiny little Fabergé necklace. It's an egg, and it is turquoise and gold with diamonds.
Oh, cute.
And inside is a little, I don't know, it looks like butt cheeks. But I'm thinking it's probably like so they make jewelry. Oh, let's see how much that egg is. I'm afraid.
So they do still make stuff. What?
It's only $6,000.
Holy hell. For the necklace?
And this one doesn't even open.
For a necklace.
Yes, $6,000.
Wow. It's the
rose
name.
gold diamond. Yeah, because there's like a big diamond on top, and then at each of the little swirly decorative ornate pieces, it's a diamond. And this one doesn't even open. The one I was looking at before, it popped open.
How much is that one?
I don't know. Jewelry, it's like hard. I'm not want to take forever, but I'm like, what is it's always, that was from the Heritage Collection, from the Emotion collection.
Oh my gosh.
Emotion white gold diamond egg pendant, $18,500. Emotion yellow gold Oh my god. Okay, I don't mean to yuck someone else's yum, but this is almost $42,000.
It looks like a kid's craft.
It looks like one of those like nerds gummy candies that like got mushed in the side of the car.
It seriously just looks like
it's a egg shaped, covered in rubies, emeralds, sapphires, and
it's crafting sprinkles.
18 karat yellow gold with black rhodium. Okay, so that's like a boo-boo black. I love rhodium because I love black, but that's still like a boo-boo like off. Let's see, 73 white round diamonds, almost 2 carats of rubies, 3 carats of emeralds. So, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy.
That is
I get
so
it.
crazy.
People
but,
like what they like, but I'm like, holy
But
moly.
like I was saying, I think it's the name.
Oh, for sure. It's old
the name.
and it's been around forever.
Yeah, so, my husband got me a Fabergé egg necklace. It was only $42,000.
Look at this $51,000 monstrosity.
Ew. It looks like bedazzled lips.
It does. Or like a brain. It's like
or a tongue.
I actually have a brain ring that's probably about this big.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
And it all started with eggs.
Super funny. Oh my God. Oh crap. I missed it. This one was so expensive. You could only see the price after you filled out the application.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh, what? It's a 51 carat tourmaline ring with diamonds and green sapphires.
What?
Oh my God. Yeah. Price on application.
On application.
Let me see if I
it means
click
it's
it.
out of anyone's tax bracket.
Exactly. Yeah. Beyonce could buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Wow, that was good. I know there was, well, as you know, with our chickens, we don't need to dye eggs for Easter because they come out dyed.
Yeah. We have to do like the opposite.
I know.
We have to think of color theory. We could do the wax and then has to be dyed with something that matches brown.
Well, it's hard because like mine, I have blue, cream, and brown, and I'm probably going to get green from some of those.
Oh, I know. Marla, the frizzle, should like a greenish, because of
probably a pale green because Miss Frizzle lays like pale, like just a pale cream color,
pale creamish,
Yeah.
and then the Americana. Fluffy Cheeks, the dad, oh my God, he's so crazy looking. Seeing him up close.
Yeah. He's so cool.
He's so pretty. He's like a wicked mullet.
I
call
love
him
it.
Rick James. But no, he's really, really so handsome for a rooster. And
He is.
and so he's the dad of all of these. And so they should technically all have the blue-green gene in them. So yeah, that'll be cute. I can't
I'm
wait.
excited. I'm excited. So that'll. Yeah, so we don't need to dye. We don't need to dye our eggs. But with the cream and the blue, we technically can because we could, like you said, with color theory, come up. So it's like emerald green, you know. But I've always wanted to do like the onion skin or the marigolds or
it's crazy the colors that you'll get out because sometimes it's not what you would think. Like we're talking a brown and yellow onion will make purple and red, and then a purple onion makes blue. Actually, not purple. Because purple doesn't exist
beets.
a lot.
You use beets. You can get purple, red. But it's more red.
Pink.
Yeah. So, wow. That was interesting.
Fun.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring it on down. And so my case, I kind of went back and forth. I had a few different cases that I was thinking of doing because, it is Christmas time. And like we said, we are going to lighten it up for the rest of the year. So it's, this is technically kind of the last, like, bring it on down of the year.
Yeah.
But this is the case of the Ortega family. So in Covina, California, this is about 22 miles or like 35 kilometers away.
Kilometers.
Kilometers.
Kilometers, kilometers, kilometers. It's okay.
Away from LA. So most people in the world know where LA is, in California. So this is Covina. So it's pretty close. They have IKEA. But this is in Covina. And so this takes place on Christmas Eve. Joseph and Alice Ortega are hosting a party, Christmas Eve party. Joseph was known as Papa Joe, and he is the son of Mexican immigrants, and he was actually the first of his family to be born in the United States. So he was born here.
Fun.
He had a very successful industrial paint business, and so he had like retired, and they were just enjoying retirement. He, I believe his son kind of took over and continued to do the paint business. Joseph and Alice were married for 53 years.
Oh, wow.
And every Christmas Eve, they hosted the family Christmas Eve celebration.
Woohoo!
I know my mom does the same thing. And then we do Christmas Day. Family members would show up during the day, and then they would just basically like hang out throughout the day. And then they would all have the big Christmas Eve dinner together.
Fun.
So Joseph and Alice had 5 grown children. The oldest 2 boys were James and Charles. The 3 younger sisters were Letitia, Alicia, and Sylvia. And so they were all there for Christmas Eve celebration with their families. So, husbands and kids and all of that. And it was like late, really, it was getting late in the night, and they were actually playing Texas Hold'em. And now, like, my family plays games on Christmas Eve, but not like poker. I remember like playing spoons. Mm-hmm. And we would do, guessing games or whatever. But yes, they were playing poker. So it's getting late, and there is a knock on the door. So Letitia's 8-year-old daughter, Katrina, runs to the door to answer it. Standing at the door was Santa.
Yay!
Immediately, this person dressed as Santa opens fire on the family.
Oh, no, not
yeah.
yay.
So 911 calls, of course, start pouring in. The initial reports that were coming in were of an explosion and a fire.
Oh.
So firefighters and police show up. There's a lot going on. All these sirens, all these people. There's a huge fire. The house is engulfed in flames.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this all just happens real fast.
Oh.
So the priority, of course, was to put out the fire and look for anyone that might be trapped inside. There were 25 people at this party. 16 people were accounted for, and 9 were missing.
No.
Joseph and Alice were among those that were missing.
Oh, no.
The only sibling that was accounted for was Letitia. Her and her husband, along with their 8-year-old daughter, climbed the fence into the neighbor's backyard, and the neighbor helped call 911. So multiple family members were actually injured due to being shot at or injured trying to flee. A 16-year-old was shot in the back. A 20-year-old woman broke her ankle jumping out of a second-story window. And so at this time, Letitia leaves for the hospital with her daughter, who was the one who opened the door and was shot. And that is when police are they start to get more of a clear idea of what happened that night. So with all of the chaos at the scene, it's really hard for them to get a clear idea because everyone had a little bit of a different story. Yeah. And there's a lot of people. Think about it. There's 19 people out there. 16 people, not 19. 16 people were out there that were accounted for. So they also didn't know where this killer was. Was he on the loose? Was he in the house? Mm-hmm. Like, what happened?
How many freaking people are dressed like Santa Claus right now?
Yes. It's Christmas Eve. Late Christmas Eve. Yeah. So during this time, firefighters are still trying to put out this fire. It is so bad. It actually took over 80 firefighters over an hour and a half to put out the fire. That's how bad this was.
Was it a big house?
It was like a 2-story house. So with how big the fire was and how quick it grew, they knew that there's a very likely chance an accelerant was used. So detectives then get a lead. One of the neighbors who left the party, because neighbors would come and Merry Christmas and all of that, and it's a party, and they did it every year. So and they were close to the neighbors. So one of the neighbors said that they saw a small blue car drive off down a dead-end street around 11:45 p.m. with their lights off. So an APB is put out immediately for a blue Dodge Caliber. So then at 3:10 a.m., so this is early Christmas morning hours, because this happened late around 11:45, let's just say midnight.
Yeah.
That's a few hours later. In Sylmar, California, this is 40 miles away or 64 kilometers. Is it kilometers or kilometers? What am I saying wrong?
It's a tomato.
Okay, my brain doesn't want to work today.
I think in Britain they say kilometers.
Yeah, so it's kilometers, kilometers, whatever.
Yeah.
So 40 miles away or 64 kilometers away, 44-year-old Brad Pardo comes home from a Christmas party and sees that his front door is unlocked. Beep. When he opens the door, he finds his brother, 45-year-old Bruce Pardo, lying in a pool of blood in his living room.
Oh, no.
So he immediately calls 911. Police show up, and it was discovered that he had died from a single gunshot wound with a 9mm handgun that went through his head. A 9mm is laying on his lap, but then they find another 9mm nearby. So they're like, what? They're there's 2 guns, there's damage on the walls, and there's a bullet hole in the ceiling. So they're thinking maybe there's 2 people, but then we just had this other shooting, but with the fire, are they connected?
Yeah.
It's just weird that but there's really no connection other than like 2 shootings in one night, very kind of in close proximity. So,
and unfortunately during holidays people go nuts because depression and those kinds of things take over.
So on Christmas morning, obviously they're still investigating this. There was very little of the house left. It was like barely anything. Neighbors were stopping by to pay respects to the family, and like this is on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And this whole family is like devastated because 9 members of their family are missing, probably gone in this fire or shot. So detectives actually had to wait for the entire scene to be cleared by firefighters and cool down. It was still hot.
Yeah.
Before they could just go in and start looking around. So the 9 missing were believed to be in the remains of this house. And this included Alice and Joseph, their 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, 2 of their daughters, and 1 of their grandkids.
Oh, no.
So the coroner's office was called to help, and the special operations response team was brought in. And there were multiple other people from different departments, such as like photographers, criminalists. You got a lot of people on the scene. So bodies were slowly being recovered from the scene, but they were not identifiable. So they had to wait for dental x-rays in order to identify them. All the bodies were severely burned, and it appeared that this crime was intentional. And that they were targeted. So back in Sylmar, they're still investigating these 2 cases. So back in Sylmar, they talked to Brad Pardo about his brother who was killed. So his brother knew that, like, okay, well, he was murdered, but I don't know who would do this. Bruce had actually just worked with computers. He had a bachelor's degree in computer science, and he worked for a couple different companies, and he actually had clearance to work on government contracts. So he actually worked at the Jet Propulsion Factory, which was a NASA facility. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, so he had a good job. 4 years prior to this murder, he started dating a woman named Sylvia Ortiz, and they fell in love and got married in 2005 and moved to Montrose, California, along with her 3 children. So earlier in the year of his murder, he had gotten a knee injury, and he had to get surgery, and this put him like out. So he started to gain weight. He was really lazy, and this put a strain on Bruce and Sylvia's relationship. And eventually it got so bad that Sylvia moved out in March 2008, and the divorce was finalized on December 17th. So he had just gone through this divorce.
What is up with these Christmas divorces?
I know. I wanted to say something on your last one, and I was like, oh my gosh, my next one has a divorce too. So detectives are still wondering if they're connected. So they look at Sylvia and see that her last name before marrying Bruce was Ortiz. Her maiden name was Ortega. So when the connection was made, Bruce's ex-wife was Sylvia Ortega.
Oopsie.
Yeah. One of the daughters.
Yeah.
Joseph and Alice's daughter. Like, it's their daughter, Sylvia. And she was one of the people killed on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So detectives are then looking to further connect these 2 cases, since they know they now have a total of 10 victims, if it's him and then them. So it's like somebody's targeting this family, these members. What is going on? So each one of the victims had been shot with a 9mm handgun, and more information is now coming out about that night. Apparently, it was completely normal for Santa to show up at the Christmas Eve party. There were years that they had their neighbor show up dressed as Santa for the kids, and this neighbor's name is Pat, and he would like show up as Santa, give little gifts out to the kids and stuff. This was normal. They always had a Christmas Eve party. Santa always showed up.
They knew
so
that.
She's thinking like,
Yay!
Santa. I have chills even thinking about it.
So sad.
So the
Talk about premeditated.
Yeah. So he obviously his question. They were like, "Did you show up that year?" And he's like, "No, I actually haven't played Santa for the past few years because I like moved away." So he was ruled out like as a suspect because he wasn't even there. So like you said, they knew this fact is very interesting. They knew this fact, and they knew the family would be up late, partying, doing their Christmas Eve thing. So detectives finally get a chance to talk to Letitia, whose daughter was shot. Yeah. She lets them know that her daughter, who had been shot, is going to be okay. The gunshot like entered into the side of her mouth, and so she basically had some cosmetic damage, but she was going to be fine. was not life-threatening. So Letitia then tells detectives that she thinks she knows who the shooter was, even though the person was in a Santa disguise.
Uh-oh.
She said she believes the shooter is her sister's ex-husband, Bruce Pardo.
Uh-oh.
So none of this made sense because they're like, well, Bruce was potentially murdered. There was a struggle, something. It just looked like, well, not like he just sat down and shot himself.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, well, there's another gun.
Unless
There's
he had to think about it for a while and just shot all over the room.
Yeah. So they're like, this doesn't make sense. So they decide, okay, we're going to take his keys and walk around the neighborhood to see if we can find his car.
Yeah.
The key fob unlocks none other than a blue Dodge Caliber, the same car that they had put an APB out for.
Yeah.
Inside the car, they find the Santa suit and tons of ammunition.
Jeez.
So when detectives go to take out the Santa suit, it's booby trapped with a flare and it immediately goes off and basically like exploded the car and burned it all up with all the evidence.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So with all of
That's not funny, but
no,
that's fucking
imagine
crazy.
being on that scene.
Yeah.
And not only that, with all the ammunition in the car, all that ammunition is going off. So boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know.
That's insane.
So there's bullets going off. An entire car is in flames. So they have to put that out. But thankfully, protocol for gathering evidence is to photograph first before you touch anything. You don't touch anything until you photograph it. That's like drilled in your brain when you go through because I went through masters for forensic science. And so that is like, what do you do first? You photograph all the evidence. So they have all these pictures. So you have the picture of the Santa suit, you have the picture of the car, you have the picture of the ammunition. But all the evidence is unfortunately destroyed. So then Bruce's autopsy and toxicology came back. An autopsy showed that Bruce Pardo had gunshot residue on his hands as well as his clothes from firing a weapon. After examining his body further, it was determined that Bruce had committed suicide. So
what a bitch.
Yeah. So it gets worse. So obviously now we know there's no second shooter at the scene. It was him. And there was evidence on his body that connected him to the Ortega family massacre. There were burns found on his hands and arms. He had third-degree burns, but he also had red and white material that was burned into his pants and also parts of the Santa suit that melted onto his body.
Good.
Yeah.
Idiot. So the polyester. So that means it was like hard plastic, all peely.
He had horrible burns all over him.
So when he tried to pull it off, it probably ripped his skin off. Good.
So on December 26th, this is the day after Christmas, 2008, a report came in about a RAV4 that had been parked in front of this person's house in Pasadena, California for a while. So they run the license plate and see that it is a rental car that was rented out to Bruce Pardo.
Oh.
This car, thankfully, wasn't booby-trapped, but there was a ton of stuff inside it. It had his computer tower, clothes, water, food, and maps, and it looked like he planned to go switch cars, get in that rental car and flee to Mexico because he had maps that leading to Mexico.
But he was all bummed up and messed up, so he knew he wasn't going to get away with it.
So the rental car was parked about 500 feet from Scott Nord's house. So who is Scott Nord? He's Sylvia's divorce attorney.
Oh. Oh.
So they were wondering,
was he going to kill him too?
If he planned to do something to the divorce attorney before leaving to Mexico, and that would be his whole family. Him and his whole family. Who's to say he wouldn't massacre that whole family after he just tried to kill Sylvia's whole family?
Yeah.
So so detectives then interview Scott Nord. He tells them that Bruce's tax returns were the last straw. She saw that he had listed a dependent on his taxes.
Oh.
Turns out he had a child with a woman named Elena 3 years before he met Sylvia.
Oh.
They were living together and had a baby boy named Matthew. Then in January 2001, Matthew was 13 months old, and Bruce was home with Matthew watching him while Elena went to the store, did errands. And when she came back from the store, Bruce was in the same spot he was when she left, and just in front of the TV. So they went looking for Matthew and found him in the pool.
Oh.
Yeah, 13 months old. He survived, but he was never the same because of the oxygen deprivation. So he was left in an almost vegetative state and wheelchair bound for the rest of his life. So
and this asshole's claiming him on taxes.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So when Matthew didn't get better and it was clear that he wasn't going to get better, Bruce left. And Elena never heard from him again. He just left.
And he still claimed him on tax.
Yeah. How messed up is that? So he decided to just pay child support and claim him as a dependent. So he did, I guess, pay. I don't know if he was consistent with it, but it's a secret
obviously.
child. Yeah. So Sylvia obviously didn't know about this, so she's upset about this whole thing. That would be the last straw for me too. I'm like, you got a kid and you just left after you like
not even. I didn't even know the truth, but not only that, you're like a bum.
Yeah,
like it's your fault in a theory, and they're have a traumatic brain injury forever. Like, come on,
it's like that. How could you do that to your own child? It was on his watch, and then he just leaves because it's like, the kid's not going to get better. I'm out of here. So. That wasn't the only lie that Bruce was hiding, though. In July, his boss...
never is.
No. In July, his bosses at ITT Electronic Systems found out that Bruce had been fraudulently billing clients for hours he never worked.
Oh, no.
So he was fired.
Yeah.
So everything that year was, like, obviously compounded. His wife left him. He got fired. Then the divorce was finalized. And so it's clear that he was trying to get back at Sylvia for leaving him. So... Yeah. Police then look at what was going on days before the murders. They go to his house in Montrose, and when they show up, they see his house all decorated for Christmas. This was a little weird. Like, he's by himself. It looked like he was excited for Christmas. He's probably been planning this for a long time.
Yeah.
At the house, they found the boxes for the guns, ammunition, black powder, bomb-making materials, even wrapping paper that was found at the crime scene. They took his computer and they could see that there were clear plans to this crime. In the backyard, there was a studio, like a shed thing. And inside, this is where it gets really weird. They find hoses that were cut and valves just sitting on a workbench. And they can see that he had taken the motor off of like a spray device and put a CO2 canister on top. And so it looked like he had just designed like a way to spread flammable liquid.
Okay.
So, excuse me. Now detectives...
We're all kind of sick, by the way,
yeah,
and kind of allergy ridden. Yeah, it's hard.
So now they're like starting to piece together what happened. So
yeah,
Bruce Pardo gets a rental car, fills it up with his supplies. He then parks the rental car on Sylvia's attorney's street, then gets dressed up in the Santa suit and leaves his house probably around 10:45 to go to Sylvia's family's house. He was obviously aware of the fact that the neighbor would always go to the house dressed as Santa because he's obviously gone to Christmases there or Christmas Eves. So that's the reason behind the Santa suit. He knew they were going to open the door for him. It's Santa, a kid's going to open the door. He then wheeled this compressor that he had made that was wrapped like a present up to the front door.
Oh my gosh.
So it looks like he's got a big box of presents.
Sick.
Rings the doorbell. Katrina opens the door, little 8-year-old Katrina. And
she's the one that only got a bullet through the mouth.
Because he shot her in the face first. So one of the witnesses said that he noticed that Santa was wearing shooting glasses, which was like weird. Protect his eyes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And so he said that Santa then came into the house and put down the presents and then reached into both pockets and pulled out 2 guns and started shooting. And like I said, the first person to be shot was 8-year-old Katrina when she opened the door. He then shot James and Charles, Sylvia's brothers. He then shoots Sylvia and both of her parents. Everyone is, freaking out. Letitia was able to run and grab her daughter who got shot in the face and run out the front door. And like I said, they went over to the neighbor's house and called 911. The shooting continued. Alice was killed. Then James's wife, Teresa, and Charles' wife, Sherry. Everyone's scrambling. When he was out of ammunition, he then wheeled the big present further into the house. And one of the canisters was filled with pressurized oxygen and the other was filled with high-octane fuel. He then doused the house with 18 gallons of fuel. So fine spray, all over the house. It created a mist.
Which means the air was literally flammable.
So he had road flares in a Santa suit that he was going to use to throw into the house to burn it down. However, there was an open flame in the house. A candle.
Fucking idiot.
So when the fuel hit the flames, the open flame, probably a candle, scented candle,
Christmas candle or
Christmas
something.
candle. The whole house went up in flames. He was not expecting that. So that is why he was so burned. He was not expecting. He was expecting to cause the fire, not fire's already there, and you just like put fuel on the fire, literally.
Yeah, maybe he should have scanned the situation first.
Yeah, well, so yeah, so unfortunately, 17-year-old Michael Ortiz was upstairs on the computer, and he was killed as a result of the fire. So he couldn't get out.
Yeah.
He was not shot. At least 3 of the victims died from their gunshot wounds. 4 died from fire and gunshot wounds, and the fire itself caused 2 casualties. So instead of going to his rental car and fleeing, Bruce instead drives to his brother's house. Now, keep in mind, he is severely burned with 3rd-degree burns. Mm-hmm. And part of the Santa suit is melted into his body.
Yeah, it'd be like being tarred and feathered. The polyester would melt into his thick plastic, and then
all over his arms.
You couldn't rip it off; it would pull all your skin to the.
Mm-hmm. And so he knows, like this. He's probably in
incredible
horrible pain.
Yeah.
So, that's probably why he just decided to kill himself. But if everything had gone according to Bruce's plan, at least 30 people would have been dead. That would include the entire Ortega family.
Close to getting. If he didn't fuck up and light himself on fire, he probably would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, he would have if
it wasn't for those meddling flames.
If it went according to his plan, all 25 of those family members would be dead, and then the attorney's family, which would be like 5 more people. That would be a lot of people. And thankfully that, plan failed, and he's dead, and other people survived. But
seriously, the very last one I did too. They killed themselves. It's like, you can't even be man enough to face what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is crazy how
so
similar
ridiculous.
that happened with divorce and going
Christmas
cuckoo
divorces and not taking ownership for them.
No,
I mean, it wasn't a mistake. You made decisions.
Yeah, so I think the scuff marks on the wall or whatever is he's probably freaking out, doesn't know what to do. The gunshot wound, the gunshot in the ceiling is probably like, I don't want to do this, but then just like, I just got to do it. I got to put myself out of my misery.
Maybe the moment he lifted his arm, he's probably like, ah! He's probably hurt. I mean, because the thing is too, is like most of us, if you've used a hot glue gun, think of the same thing. That plastic is going to melt down. That's all it is polymer. It's going to melt down, and as soon as it gets rock hard, it is solid, and it doesn't take that long. And the amount of time it takes him to leave the house that he started the crime at, even to go winter.
Yeah.
Even here, like Southern California is pretty warm, but hitting that
and
cold air.
California, so.
Yeah, hitting that cold air, it's going to solidify. It was probably cracking and good.
Yeah. I know. That's what I was like. Good.
Whatever.
I'm so glad that
his last moments were pure fear and misery.
And that's what gives me comfort to know. And I'm sure the family too. Good. I'm glad he suffered in his last moments, but I would still be mad that
for sure. That's so sad and gross.
Yeah. But yeah, so that, and it's crazy because that happened not too long ago. So it's like, wow, that, and it's close enough by us. It's probably a good hour drive or so. But yeah, so
what an asshole.
Yeah, I thought, oh well, I'll do a Christmas one, but it's not very Christmas. Stay safe.
Yeah, seriously. The interesting thing too is like in Hispanic culture, like I wasn't raised like folk Catholic or anything, but I was raised pretty Roman Catholic, and for some reason you celebrate on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And then because you go to church at midnight, so you're awake late. So it's pretty
typical. I know, because I'm like, why are they up so late? But I'm like,
you go to church midnight mass. Yeah. And so you get like really dressed up and you go, and then you're like, sitting there like, oh God. And you're like falling asleep because it's late. It's super late. Because you're literally like, it's Jesus' birthday today. Like, go immediately. So you spend like the first couple hours in church. And then
I'm so glad I don't.
Yeah, we, like, we would pretty much, because like one of the things we've talked about before is like our husbands are always working. They work through the pandemic as essential workers, and
never took a day off until we got COVID.
yeah, exactly. And it's like for us, luckily, our holidays are pretty together. We're always together. But like I grew up with my dad working for the Oregon Department of Transportation, and so on all the holidays he was typically working because his job was to weigh the semi trucks that come through. They have to stop at the weigh scale because if they are lopsided in weight, it's a danger for toppling over, fishtailing, they brake check, all those types of things. So there were many a holiday that we were like chomping at the bit, waiting for Dad to get home from work. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve. And usually his friends at work were so sweet because they were older. Like for our age range, our dads are on the older end. They're both in their 70s. And so his friends were older than that. And so they had grown kids. And so they were like, you still have young kids at home. They were typically really cool and would like swap the days. But there were some moments where it's like 7, 8 o'clock at night and we're waiting for Dad to come home. And it was like, okay, we can open one present, but then we only have a little bit of time. And then we got to go to church. I think by the time I was like 9, we were just like, fucking.
Yeah. We just do Christmas Eve with family and then Christmas Day here. And then Jack's dad comes over on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's the same for us too. We now hang out together and our kids do our presents on Christmas Eve and we hang out. And I would really like to get some crafts again for the kids like I did for Halloween and have a bunch of craft stuff planned for that. For Christmas Eve, that'd be fun because like the build up is such a pain in the ass and they're like, I want to do this and I want to do this. And so if you keep them busy as long as possible.
I have a big roll I should take out. I'll probably take it out next weekend when we put up all our Christmas decorations. I have a big roll of Christmas coloring paper. It's like
cute.
A roll, and so it's like a bunch of big pictures. So we'll do that.
Face.
And then I have a Mickey and Minnie puzzle.
Oh, cute. Is it like Christmas?
Remember last Christmas when
I helped you with the elf one.
Yeah, and we just did our diamond art, and then I had the elf puzzle.
You built my Disneyland old school map,
and then I got the office puzzle.
Yeah,
so I did 3 puzzles.
I helped.
Yes, you did, and then we did some diamond art to break it up, and
and then we got addicted till my arm stopped working.
Yeah,
and now I'm on a lull, and I feel bad. But again, it's like the stuff we tell ourselves is just like, well, it's out of the sun. It's not going to go bad. It's still there.
Yeah.
And like worst case scenario, you can just like re-sticky the sheets.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep them forever or we just throw them in the trash. It's hard. It's you gotta just put it in the cheapest frame possible and just donate it and someday or give it away. Leave it at someone's doorstep.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell
I had
is this?
hung up the ones in Lincoln Lily's room and then it got all ruined and half the diamonds are off of it. So
I gave my mom the Dumbo that we worked on for that Mother's Day. It's in her craft room. She hasn't hung it up yet, but it's so cute. I love it. Oh my God, sorry.
I know we've been battling colds and tired. It's just a lot. So.
It is a lot, but we're working so hard.
We are. So everyone stay safe on your Christmas celebration month.
Don't trust Santa.
Yeah, don't trust Santa. Yeah, don't open your door to Santa or carolers.
Do people still do that?
No, I don't think so. Not here anyway.
That's dangerous around here.
It is. Yeah. Okay, well, with that, stay crafty.
And not cry me.
Bye.